Let's see. Let's get something going. Five, modify, and Areza, what's going on, buddy? Rob Lacey, I think that's how you say it. What's going on, man? Manchester, UK, what's up? Poseidon, what's going on, buddy? Today was an exciting day. I got stopped out, but I was not afraid to re-enter, especially when we do pump back above support, and we're looking good. We got the divergences in place on lower time frames, higher time frames, and we've been talking about this. This is the 2-to-1 Gonfan that we're talking about. It's gonna hold. I mean, obviously, I can't say that for sure. Obviously, everything does have, likelihood for anything, but the chances of us holding this as support is a lot higher. And now we got a inverse head and shoulders alongside it. We'll see if that works out. But yeah, we're looking good. This is going to be a very significant trade, probably the biggest trade we've made on the 5K account so far. So far, we're up about 50% already, about $360. So things are looking fantastic. And I mean, if we continue up any further, I mean, to the targets that we are looking at, as soon as we can get back above around 8,450 or so, that pretty much sets everything in motion for a target of 14K. Obviously, we have some major resistances between that target, but you can't deny the fact that that is a new target based on a legitimate pattern, which a lot of people are seeming to not want to acknowledge. So we'll talk about that. What up? What up? Daily D, how's it going on, man? Crypto Half Life Crippler, what's going on, guys? I doubt we rock it up from here. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna rock it up from here. Uh, Far from it. Like I said, when I'm talking about stuff like this, I never mean immediately these things are gonna happen. I'm saying that we have the things in place. Now we just have to give it time. It's, I'm ready to give this 17 days, 19 days for a resolution down here. And in the entirety of this, when I'm talking about 14K, I'm talking about maybe July, probably a little bit later. So when I'm talking about that, I don't mean it's going to happen right away. I'm just talking about that could be a very significant target coming here soon. Let's see. I'm trying to find some of the songs that I don't know. I just want to find something that's chill. Guess we can do that. Alrighty. I've been watching your videos from around September where you set up your fib levels, then triangles. Are you using guns instead of that now? Yes. So I wanted to use something that everybody could do as well and was just as effective. Granted, the triangles that we used to draw were much more complicated, and because of that, they worked better. I wanted to have a system where I could sit down and teach somebody how to do it consistently. That way, they could have just as much success as the next person. Jedi Master of the Gond fan. I was stopped out too, and I couldn't get back in because I was working. Do you think we were coming back down again? I went to long again. Uh, I like I said, when people ask me if I think it's actually going to happen, there's a likelihood of it. Yeah, because we might want to come back down and retest support. That could happen. But as of right now, we do have a completed head and shoulders pattern almost. Obviously, we have to get above the head in order for it to skyrocket upwards. But as of right now, we do have that second shoulder in place. So the likelihood of us coming back down is slightly less. So I don't know. A lot of people, what they'll do is, and I was talking to a person earlier today about this during a session. where if they miss an entry and because of that, they want to go ahead and just hop into a long right now. So I want to talk about why, if you hop into a trade where before it was good and you still think it's good because the target is high, how if you were to set up the trade safely, you're not getting the most out of the trade. So let's say, for example, this head and shoulders pattern. Okay, the length of the arm is the target. So 9,200 almost is the target. Let's just say that, for example. So let's go ahead and set up a long trade. Let's say we got our long right here. All right, so we go ahead and take a long. We set our stop loss below the current wick. And boom, right there, we have a 12.66. Fish is about to bark in a second. Fish was eating food, and then someone walked in the door, and he tried to bark, and I just heard him choke on food. I think he's still choking. Give me 1 second. You okay? Okay, he's okay. All right, so you have this trade initially where if you could have gotten in on it, yes, the potential profit is insanely high. So if you did miss that entry, you're going to want to FOMO in because you want an entry down here where, all that kind of stuff. So your assumption is that if you got an entry here, it would be just as good as down here instead of right here. But if you were to set up this trade safely with the correct stop loss and everything like that, that trade now turns into a 2.94, significantly less than what it was, which was a 12.66. So when you're in this type of situation where you have that feeling of you want to get in now so you don't miss the boat, wait until a breakout. Because if you wait until a breakout, let's say like right up here, for example, and you can get a stop loss below the new support and previous resistance, that same trade that was a 2.96 now turns into a 6.4. So yes, obviously you're not going to make as much as you would if you got the exact bottom. But because you waited until a breakout, not only does your chances of the trade actually going through get higher, your profit also gets higher with less risk. So that's what you guys really need to understand so you don't FOMO even when we're not in a breakout zone. So just wanted to cover that because that was a problem that somebody in my one-on-ones had today. Give me 1 second. Fish is having some trouble. Okay, I'm back. Fish, what's going on? Stop, buddy. All right. So I guess I'm my. Okay, I think I'm good. All right. So let's see. Let's go ahead and look at some of the questions. Just comments. Um, Had along for 5 days now. It was so far underwater. I needed a scuba tank. Oh man, I'm sorry. Brilliant. Thanks, man. Oh, I need to talk. What was my stop? My stop is below this last wick. So my stop is about 7,553. Okay, and AK, how you doing, buddy? I love my life. How you doing? What's going on? How many are there from Baked Potato Discord? I don't know. You haven't missed much. We're just talking about the current situation. And yeah, let's go over some of the bullish aspects of why this is looking so damn good. Obviously, from a pattern standpoint, we're looking good. We have put in a higher low on money flow. And if this does, I mean, it hasn't gotten to the point where I can say it's officially bottomed out. But as of right now, does look like it, and we can start a positive money flow. And we got a pretty aggressive support on the RSI. Now, that's a good and bad thing. It's a good thing short term for seeing your your profit get into the green, but not so much when it does break, because the break is going to be pretty violent. Let's go ahead and go to well, let's just continue real quick. Stochastic is looking very good. It's down in the bullish control zone. Well, not technically, but it is flipped green, which is bullish. And we're in the bottoming out phase. Whenever we get into those bottoming out phases, pretty much we get some sort of upturn. Sometimes it does end in tragedy. But most of the time, it does end in, just my voice just cracked. It does end in a really, really good pump. So down here, same thing happened. We bottom out on the stochastic. We pump to the upside, we come back down, we do a little bit of a retest, continue on up. So hopefully that's the case in this one, and it's not a repeat of this one right here, but obviously we'll see. And when it comes to the daily time frame, the daily was looking pretty fantastic, but now it's kind of an exaggerated. It's still a bullish divergence, but it's much closer to exaggerated, which means uh, the strength of it has kind of whittled. Now, the 3-day is still looking fantastic, but that's going to take much more time for it to work itself out. So we have the bullish divergence off of this one, which is an exaggerated, and this one is just bullish convergence. But we have that pretty much in the back catalog to use as another means of propulsion. Let's see. Let's go ahead and go to a 6 hour. How's the 6 hour looking? 6 hour, really good bullish divergence. You can see higher low, and lower low on price action. So we got the bullish divergences in place. It's just about being patient, letting it work itself out. Obviously, when you're in these types of areas, you might get stopped out a couple of times, because when you're using Gonfans, especially the macro Gonfans, you have to understand that they are just a line. Yes, they are true, and those areas are huge points of support and resistance, but there can be some fluctuation in where the actual support will land or resistance will land. So that's why I tell you guys, usually about $100 to $200 over the line, before the line. That's where that 2-to-1 Gonfan or any Gonfan is probably going to hit. So that was the situation here. We went, let's see, 7882 to, yeah, almost $300, almost under that 2-to-1 Gonfan, which is absolutely fine. As long as the daily closes above the 2-to-1 Gonfan, that's what matters to me, because when I set these Gonfans up, I set it so that the candle body closes are above or below the resistances. So that was a very good close today, in my opinion. Obviously, it's not a gigantic green dildo, but it's another close above a support, which I like to see. Zoltan, how you doing, buddy? Kite, how much value do you put on an indicator premium and funding index? How much value do you put on an indicator premium and funding index? Don't quite know what you mean by that. Are you talking about indicators that you have to pay for? Because like I said, this is all I use. And most of the time, I don't even use indicators to begin with. It usually just comes down to support and resistance and patterns. So I feel like that is much more accurate than, I mean, obviously, that being said, a lot of these drops and stuff are called by these indicators, like right here. This major drop, if you were going strictly off the indicator, you would have gotten it 100%. We had a bearishly diverging wave, and we had a bearish divergence off of this wave. So that's why I still keep it there just in case. Cypher B daily flashed a large green dot for a little bit. That's awesome. The market cipher so just stochastic. Can you explain that in simple terms? How would it affect my decisions based on color and position and direction? So market cipher, I don't really like the way they do the secondary indicators, and that's why most of the time people just focus on the blue waves. But it is useful. So, like I said, all you're looking for when using the stochastic is long periods of top or bottom. That usually indicates a bearishly diverging or bullishly diverging asset. And you have the added benefit of color flipping, which if it's red, it's bearish. If it's green, it's bullish. Now, not necessarily, don't really pay attention to the color. Just pay attention to the position, and depending on the time frame you're using, typically you'll kind of get a gauge for how long that needs to happen. So over here, you can see that we're getting pretty much either higher highs based off of wicks or just the same high based off of candle bodies, but we're getting a slightly lower high on stochastic and then downturn. So you're looking for the extreme highs and extreme lows in order to find out where those good positions are. But don't be fooled. You can be in the bottom for quite a while and it still be dropping. Does that mean at some point it's going to pop? Yes, but you have to be careful on where you think that's going to happen because if you keep trying to catch a falling knife, you're going to end up with bloody hands. Esoteric, what's going on, buddy? There are market cipher tutorials on CryptoFace Discord. Yeah, we are in one of them. 6 hours phenomenal and double bottom. Yeah, my favorite is probably the 2 hour, but I don't neglect other time frames. That's why when I teach people, I say select 4 time frames that you know that you're going to use. So if you're more of a scalper, use the 10-minute, 15-minute, actually 5, 10, 50, 5, 10, 20, 40. Me, I'm kind of like an in-between guy. I don't necessarily enjoy scalping all as much as I used to, so I'm more of a 30-minute, 1 hour, 2 hour. That's kind of my style. But I do pay attention to the daily. Gabriel, how you doing, man? Kite, did you make a killing on the way down? No, I did not make a killing on the way down. I did not. I made a little bit to cover my losses, but unfortunately, I completely dropped the ball on that one. Absolutely. Uh, and most of the reason was I knew we were going to bottom out here, so I wasn't too focused on getting that small little down. And it mostly stemmed from the fact that this was holding a really good support. We got kind of an inverse head and shoulders on that one, and then we had the breakout of a ascending triangle. So I was kind of holding that long. Obviously, I got stopped out right about here, but yeah, it was unfortunate. But this trade is going to be phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. Fish, what are you doing? Still sitting on the sideline, shivering. But today's close seems positive for Bulls for now. So this is why you're ignoring me? What are you talking about? I wanted to play with you today, but you're like, no, I already got friends. I don't need you. Loving the streams. Thanks for taking the time. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. No, it's called the Funding Index. I have never heard of it, but I'll check it out. Danny, sorry I'm late. Do you have an open position right now? Yes, we have a long open and we're up about 47%. So we're sitting pretty. All right, what is the green and red alternating indicator in the middle right side of your screen? Are you talking about this one right here? This is money flow off of Market Cipher. I know you probably don't recognize it if you do have Market Cipher, but I have it changed from an area into a line. That helps me identify the supports and resistances off of the money flow much better rather than the area indicator. Smoothie, what's going on, man? Have you seen that certain divergences have more strength than others? Oh, that's a good question. Exaggerated tends to be the weakest. Doesn't mean that it doesn't have an effect on the market, but it does tend to be the weakest. Uh, Standard divergences, those are always going to be good because they're reversals. Particularly, I find that hidden divergences are much more strong. And that's for a couple reasons. Obviously, most people can't see them. So they don't get to hop in on the first move or the initial move. And what happens is it will cause a reaction. People will get stopped out, people will FOMO, and then it makes the move a little bit more exaggerated. I know that's a little bit weird because exaggerated divergence, exaggerated move, but it causes the market to move a little bit quicker because people are trying to get their trades straight or get out of trades or get into trades. So I find those to be a little bit better, especially when a bunch of stop losses get hit and things just start landsliding, or a bunch of buy limits get hit, price starts pumping. So that's why I like hidden divergences a little bit more. Subcut. How did you manage to reduce your 15-31 hour into just the 2 hour? How did you manage to reduce your 15 to 30 minute 1 hour into just the 2 hour? I'm not sure I quite understand the question. So my main time frame is the 2 hour. I find it to be consistent, and when I see something, it definitely has a physical reaction on the market, and it's not like a small move or anything. It's moves that I can actually take when it's relating to indicators. And if I'm unsure about something, let's say I see the money flow start to go down, or I see a larger divergence, anything like that, I can go down to the 1 hour and the 30 minute to see how actually aggressive is the downslope on money flow, or how aggressive the upslope on money flow is. So I utilize all of my time frames. It's not just like I stick to one time frame, but my main time frame is the 2 hour. Based off that risk reward, are you anticipating the 9-7 area then? I'm anticipating 9-2. Obviously, a lot of resistances have to get broken before we get to that point. I'm just going based off of the initial pattern that we're in, which is an inverse head and shoulders double bottom. So the length of the arm would be the new target. And I mean, if we're really going into this trade, now this trade, I plan on holding for months. Okay. If we hold support here and we do not fall below the 2-to-1 Gonfan, I will be holding this trade for months. Doesn't mean I won't be trading on other accounts, but this one trade I will be holding for a very, very long time, whether it be the medium 8-to-1 Gonfan or the macro 8-to-1 Gonfan or even 14K. It's all dependent on the conditions, what I see happening, and whether or not another downturn is likely. Because this trade is too good to pass up. It is too good to pass up. This trade will add 120% to my account. Okay. So I'm taking it very seriously. So this trade right here, let's go ahead and look at this one. Entry somewhere around 7786, I believe. Okay. And stop loss down here. All right, so we have this double top inverse head and shoulders. If we find support here and break this line right here, which would be, I would say the last point would have to be 8-7 in order for us to actually officially validate the pattern. 14K is the target. 14K is the target. So, yes, it's going to take a lot of time, and we do have a lot of support and resistance to get past up here, but it is going to be a trade I'm holding for quite a long period of time. So, if that is true, that is almost a 30. Actually, if we just take it up a little bit more, it is a 30. So I'm risking 4% of my account. Do I recommend you do that? No. Find out what you're comfortable with losing and what you want to make out of this trade. And this is a trade that I believe is worth taking, because every single time we have hit the 2-to-1 Gonfan. Yes, sometimes it takes a lot of time, but we have pretty much always bounced off of it. So it's just a matter of time. Now, if it does break, I'll change my bias. But until that point, I have to look at the trade at hand. And I'm risking 4% of my account, and the risk to reward ratio is a 30. Therefore, I will make 120% added to my portfolio in one trade. It's a macro trade. Obviously, that 120% is going to be a little bit less because of funding, because I do plan on holding this for probably more than 60 days. So the funding shouldn't be too bad. The most I ever anticipate is probably around 15% off of the profits, but I'm willing to pay that for this type of profit. So that's why this area, I'm really not focusing on all the little tiny stuff. Focus on the big picture, because that's what's going to actually pay off. Have you risked it all and been successful? Absolutely not. In the beginning, Yes, but that was pure luck. And when I did that again and I didn't know what I was doing, I lost a lot. Obviously, I'm still here, so I haven't lost everything, and I'm much further than I was, but I would never recommend that. You know, the whole saying bet the farm, that is ignorant. Never do that. Is there some trades that are high probability enough for you to risk a little bit more because of it? Absolutely. That's usually macro trades. So that's why in this situation where I would typically be risking 1 to 2%, I'm risking the 4% that I am. But I would never risk all of it. Never. Oh, I did not hit up Profit Harbinger, not Profit Harbinger, Dark Harbinger about that. So I'm very sorry, Crypto Half Life. If you set up a GON fan on, say, 1 hour, then flick it to the 15-minute, will it be the same fans? Yes. Um, G Money Bags, no problem, man. So nothing is ever going to be 100% right when it comes to indicators. So, Smoothie, your question about which indicator and which divergences I pay attention to more. Obviously, you guys know where my bias is on indicators. I prefer the RSI over everything, but it's when you can look at all the indicators. Some of them might say one thing, but most of the time, I would say 3 out of the 5 are going to say one direction or the other. Try to find out what the general direction of most of the indicators are. And usually, if you go with that, it's going to be the right decision. Sometimes not. Nothing is ever 100%, but more often than not. Did you scale into your entry today or all at once, limit or market? I actually had to do market just because when I got stopped out, it was either wait for a little bit lower in order to enter a short or wait for it to come back above the support in order to enter my long. And that's what I waited to do. So I entered back in market. And it was all at one time because everything got stopped out at one time. If you're in a long in one account and in another in a scalp account, where would you set your exit in the scalp before going short and holding the long macro trade? It's all dependent on the pattern. Like I said, my method of trading is simply top and bottom. So if you can identify tops and bottoms of a pattern, simply just scalp the top and bottom depending on the size of the pattern, and then hold the initial trade that you actually think will go through. So in this case, um, probably somewhere around. If we're going off of candle bodies, most likely somewhere around 8,087 would be a good point. But there is a lot more inside of this. But I'm looking at the 2 hours, so you really can't identify that altogether. Are you going to set up a trailing stop loss to this position? No, I don't ever use trailing stop losses. And I feel like they're kind of like a trap, just like most of Bybit is a trap with the leverage slider and, you know, the availability to, if you're getting liquidated, add more to the position to save your ass. That kind of stuff, useless. Trailing stop loss doesn't have a use. Is it useful? Yes, in some cases, but I prefer being in control of what's happening. So I was using this example today because someone in the 101 asked that same exact question. So this trade was a really good example. So we took a long, set our stop loss below the 8 to 1 Gone fan. And what you would typically do if you were using a trailing stop loss or if you were just that type of person, as this is going up, you're going to move your stop loss, you know, incrementally up just alongside it. But the second it turns down and makes a retest to confirm support, you're going to be stopped out and you're going to lose that perfect position that you put yourself in initially. So you have to wait for price action to confirm support higher than what your stop loss is in order for you to safely move your stop loss and say that there is potential for it to move higher. So right here, you would move your stop loss up a little bit. Right here, you would move your stop loss up a little bit. Right here, you would move your stop loss up a little bit. Right here, so on and so on and so on. When a major swing low occurs or a breakout before a swing low can occur, then you know for a fact that it is a high probability. And that I feel like that was a good answer. And a side note, we did it, guys. We did it. I woke up. I don't know if it was this morning. I don't think it was this morning, but I think it was last morning. I woke up and guess who commented on Monday's live stream? Papa Crypto himself, Crypto Revolutions. He gave me a compliment. You know how much that means to me? That the person I learned from says I'm doing a good job. That was a good day. So I don't know if you guys were involved in that because at one point I was like, guys, go spam him, tell him to check out the channel. For whatever reason, he found out and he said thank you for shouting him out. So I appreciate it. Yep, we're sitting pretty. We're up 44%, $319 on the 5K account. So I mean, things are going fantastic. Chain Wax, what's up, man? I got my Buffalo Wild Wings t-shirt on tonight. Repping my start. I had a lot of good times working there. That was fun. I don't know if I'll ever get a regular job again. I don't need it, so that's why I don't know if I'll ever get one. But just working with people that had unique personalities. I guess I do that every day through one-on-ones, but it's just kind of different when you're in like that kind of environment. I really did like it. Like the last couple of weeks I worked there, I was so hardcore into trading that I would stay up until like 6 a.m. and then have to go to work at like 10:30, and I was dead. Like, oh my god, it was a bad time. It was a bad time. So I was like, "Hey guys, I don't want to be a bad employee to you, but I gotta go. If I'm gonna do this, I have to pick one or the other. And as much as I love working here, I gotta go." How tight is my entry relative to my stop loss? Well, my entry is 7788. So right here, my stop loss is right down here below this last wick. So about 2.65%. Are you gonna hold this long once the weekly turns back up? Yes, I will be holding this long for a long time. A very long time until we hit another macro resistance. I think I'm gonna be holding this long because it is too profitable to hold this, even with the funding, that you can't pass it up. I mean, if you had $100,000 account, so let's do the math on this. All right, so it is 78% until 14K. All right, so we're every time I do a calculation, it's going to be based off of the 5K count. So let's say you have $5,000 and we go up 78%. Okay. You now have 8,900. All right. So off of this trade alone, we are going to make 120, not 120%. I forgot what we're going to do. Trying to think here. I'm not doing my math right. I feel like something's not right. 'Cause there's no 25x times 78%. That's what. Okay, so I'm sorry. Like my brain is short circuiting right now. That okay, I'm stupid. Okay, sorry, I'm stupid. All right. I'm timesing my entire portfolio as if I'm using my entire portfolio. Okay. So $700, 19, 50%. All right. So we're going to make about 14 grand off of this one trade, plus the 8,900 that our account is going to go up anyways because of the price increase. So our 5K account is basically going to quadruple from this one trade if it does work out to its entirety. Obviously, that's if we rode it all the way out until 14K. I'm probably going to take profit at the macro 8-to-1 Gone fan. So those profits going to be much less. But you see where I'm coming from, where you can take your account and pretty much this one trade could set it in such a high momentum to profit that it's very hard to come back from that. Now, if you do make a trade like this, you're going to feel like you're the shit and you're going to have so much money in your pocket that you feel like you can risk more because of it. But that's what separates gamblers from traders. Once you come into money like that from a very good, significant trade, it's all about maintaining consistency and not going crazy with the newfound money that you got. So the 5K account would become somewhere around 19, maybe $18,000. And that would be some velocity that we could use to get the 5K account to much, much greater heights. People tend to say that the trend is your friend. Don't you think we should be looking to short options rather than longs? The so you're thinking from a short-term perspective. Yes, the trend is your friend and we have been going down. But on a much larger perspective, the trend is up ever since back here. 2-to-1 Gone fan, 2-to-1 Gone fan, 2-to-1 Gone fan. So the odds of us holding support here are much higher. So I get what you're coming from and in terms of saying the trend is your friend, should we look for shorts? But in this case, I don't necessarily think that you should be looking for macro shorts right now until we break the 2-to-1 Gone fan. If we break the 2-to-1 Gone fan, yeah, we should be looking for shorts. But up until that point, no. At least for me. I'm not telling you what to do. Just saying from my perspective on how I'm viewing things, that's what I think about this current situation. So you prefer to trade in BTC rather than USDT? On a lot of the old coins, if I think that we've actually hit like a macro top, I will trade some of it into USDT. But for the most part, I kind of just leave it because I make a good enough amount of money from BTC that if I do lose a little bit on those altcoins, I'm absolutely fine with that. Let's go check up on ETH real quick. I know there's a lot of people that always have to ask me to go check up on other coins. So let's go ahead and do it ourselves. Do I have it on Bitstamp? Okay, so we're still holding support at the breakout point of the ascending triangle that we were in, which is a good thing. Let's go check out XRP. XRP is still holding support. Let's go check out Monero, XMR. Monero's not looking hot, but it's not looking terrible. Let's see. Let's look at the daily. It's just a lot of exaggerated bullish divergence, which isn't a bad thing, but I would like to see a little bit more heftier movement. Let's see. We got some exaggerated bullish divergence off of this wave. Besides that, not too much. So we'll check back up on Monero in a couple days, see how it's doing. We'll go back to this. Yeah, like I said, I understand that funding is going to be a thing. I understand that the market fees on that type of cash out are going to be a thing, but I'm willing to take them. Obviously, when we get up to that 8-to-1 Gon fan, I will be limiting out. But besides that, what do you think about the huge block order at 7,300? Since we penetrated the 7,500, I mean, after a couple of times, this breakout seems more a short liquidation move to me before coming down to $7,300 area. That is a possibility because if you look at this left shoulder over here, it did dip all the way down to 7,400, even 7,310 at one point. Actually, 7,300 almost exactly. Now, that is a possibility that could even fool me because, if it does happen to break this, I would just be looking to short even past that point, and we could collect support there and move to the upside. But you also have to look at the trend lines that allowed it to get down to that point before another swing to the upside. We don't have that here, which is why I'm not in the same category as saying that is going to happen. And I did go ahead and draw back my old Gon fans from this pattern since we broke out of this one right here. I want to see if there's any correlation between that. And I mean, the 1-to-1 Gon fan held resistance the entire time up, all the way up to the end. And now we are sitting on the 4-to-1 Gon fan from the previous medium time frame Gon fan pattern. Medium time frame Gon fan pattern. That just sounds cool. What is the difference in fees between market and limit? So if you have post only on when you make a limit order, which is the only real limit order, so I don't even know why they would call it limit if you don't have post only on. You actually make a rebate fee, so you actually make a little bit of money. It's not much, so don't get all excited. But you don't lose anything. Market, you do lose, I believe, 0.015% of the contract size. Correct me if I'm wrong, or maybe just the margin, but I'm pretty sure that it's relative to the contract size that you're using. So that's why if you're using a higher leverage, when you make a market order, you're actually going to be paying more out of your margin because of that. And if you use, 3x leverage, you're really not even going to tell. But that is something you have to watch out for. What was I talking about when I said if you don't have post only on, you're pretty much not making a limit order? Because if you make a limit order without post only on, it's just going to go to market price, and it's literally just a market order. That's all it is. So Rafa, what's going on, buddy? This trade will take 3 months. I agree. So if you look at what's happening, you've probably seen this on Data Dash's channel and everything. But just from a charts perspective, you got to look at it. Just look at where this is building up to. If we do hold support at this 2-to-1 Gon fan, but continue to get rejected at either 10-5 or the 8-to-1 macro, it is leading up to around July for a breakout, whether it is to the downside or whether it's the upside, hopefully to the upside. But it's leading to around June to July as a breakout point between this diagonal support and this diagonal resistance, or maybe even horizontal resistance. So it's coming. And I know it seems like it's months away, but one day we're going to be sitting here on live stream, and we're, tapping our feet waiting for this thing to break because we're so damn close. And when it does, it's going to be awesome. you know, hopefully it doesn't break to the downside because then it's just going to be a bunch of panic selling. Hopefully, because otherwise that means people are just going to let it trickle down. Because the slower the price goes down on a breakout like that, the less people are scared and the less likely they are to sell, uh, which keeps the price maintained high. And I'm sure the whales start slowly offloading their Bitcoin. So I'll be in the whales pen in terms of offloading my Bitcoin and getting the hell out of this, where everybody else is kind of just be waiting for the next bottom. When if we do break that 2 to 1 God fan, the next bottom is gonna be a bottom, all right. It's gonna be a bottom. Absolutely fantastic. We're up about 39% on our long here, and we're just waiting for it to kick off. Like I said, not looking for immediate resolution. It could sit at the bottom for 17 days for all I care. As long as we hold the support, I don't care how long we're sitting on it. Just don't get impatient when it comes to stuff like that because the profits are too high for you to get antsy. Krypton, what's going on, buddy? Yes, I'm still on my long. Does Bybit charge for open positions? So it's all dependent on, is there more longs than shorts or is there more shorts than longs? So down in the bottom right corner or top right corner, depending on how your Bybit's set up, you'll see a thing called funding rate in 8 hours. So what that means is if there's more longs than shorts, meaning that the funding rate is positive, the shorts will get paid, and if it's negative, the longs will get paid. So the closer it is to zero, the more likely people are to take longs on larger accounts. So if you are holding a short for a long period of time, you can rack up quite a bit of funding. I'm talking about 90 days or more with high capital. You can rack up a couple $1,000s if you were to use like a $30,000 account over the course of 90 days or even longer. But if you're in a long and you're sitting with a $50,000 trade for 90 days or longer, you're going to be losing thousands of dollars. So you got to kind of weigh the pros versus cons. Are the profits going to outweigh the funding rate? That's what you got to really decide for yourself. So in my case, yes, I do believe so. Could I bite my teeth or bite my tongue on that in a couple months and say, oh, this wasn't worth it? Absolutely. If it does take longer than I thought it would, but I would say less than 2 months. Korean, what's going on, buddy? We already checked up on ETH. It's still sitting at that ascending triangle, previous resistance, now support. So it's still sitting at that. So we're just waiting for it to pick back up. Because, like I said, this trade, I view it as a very high probability trade. So I'm willing to risk more because of it. If it was just a normal everyday trade, yes, the leverage would be much lower because I'm not risking as much. But because of that, I'm able to use a little bit higher leverage. So you're bullish for the upcoming halving? Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, let's say we're at, $10,500 and the halving hits. Yeah, it could go down, but like I said, I'm looking at specifically the 2 to 1 God fan. That's the one thing that has kept me bullish this entire time. And we're sitting in the same exact position that I said we would a couple months back. As soon as we broke out of that inverse head and shoulders, actually just regular head and shoulders, and we were sitting at the 4 to 1 God fan, I thought we were going to be between the 4 to 1 God fan and the 0.618 for months, what we just went through. But instead, we broke above it, put in that double top at the top of the inverse head and shoulders, and we went to the downside. But we're still in the same position. We're still making that right shoulder, just in a different way than I thought. So I'm still bullish, 100%. Why don't you trade something like Robinhood with dollars instead of BTC? I don't trade Robinhood, but I hold many stocks on Robinhood just because of the ease of use. I think their fees are a little bit higher than everything else because of the easy use, but hey, I don't really care. So I was holding Tesla on there for quite a bit. Uh, Cashed out when that whole debacle happened. Have not even looked at it again because I really don't need to. I hold a lot of AMD, Nvidia stock. What's some of the other ones? Some gold mining stocks. Just a whole plethora of things that I've heard from many people. Uh, what's his name? Dollar Vigilante. I was a subscriber to his newsletter for a long time, and whenever he would recommend something, I wouldn't dive into it because I don't trust anybody but myself. But I would pick up a little bit of whatever he was talking about. What is the red and green line you have on the RSI chart? That is money flow index. So you probably don't recognize it if you've seen it before on. That's all it is. And I find when it's a line, it's much easier for me to identify the supports and resistances relating to it. So that's why I keep it as a line. I have not. Svensson? I'll check him out. Thank you, Trading Junkie. Like I said, I have an opinion on things because, I do. And I'm not above anything, and I won't, it's not like I won't change my viewpoint if something else does happen. Like, there's some people that will be bullish till the end of time on an asset, even when it's trash. you know, Maybe it's not trash, maybe it's just having a bad day. And that's why I'm saying if the 2-to-1 Godfin breaks, I'm not going to be bullish on Bitcoin until we're back above that or create some sort of new significant support line. That's just my perspective on it and why I've been acting the way I have in this region and being so optimistic about the profits that could be yielded from this over time. Do you expect it to touch the 2-to-1 Godfin again? Yeah. I mean, I can't say that it will, but is it a possibility? Hell yeah, 100% a possibility. As long as are within these confines, it can go back and forth 100,000 times. I wouldn't care as long as we stay above the 2-to-1 God fan. And like I said, just because it crosses this orange line does not mean that it broke the 2-to-1 God fan. As long as we are holding support around it. Now, if it did get a candle body close below the orange line on the daily, that would be a different story because that's where I set up my macro Gon fans and has held true every single time. So far, we've gotten nothing but candle body closes above the 2-to-1 Gon fans. So far, so good. Alrighty, how long have we been streaming, guys? I'm not quite sure. Let's see. So one thing that sucks about this brand new monitor that I love so much, whenever I live stream, I have to turn the HDR off because then it makes the stream look like crap for some reason. I don't understand, which is kind of annoying. I just gotta turn it on and off whenever I gotta go on live stream, but it's fine by me. Beautiful monitor, though. Beautiful monitor. I didn't expect it to be this good. I didn't know how. I don't know why it was worth so much money, but damn, wish I had it sooner. Okay, we've been streaming for about an hour, so start saying goodbye. I appreciate you being here, guys. And hopefully, this stream kind of put my perspective in your brains and just something else to think about. I know times like this when we just suffered, a 10% drop and things are looking bleak that you want to go ahead and just start looking for shorts, but look at the bigger picture, look at the bigger pattern in play, and kind of just take a step back. Whether you enter now or enter on the breakout of this resolution, that's up to you. But for me, I'm willing to take a risk in this area because of the high probability that we do get a bounce. Could a move down to 7,300 happen and we still find support and move to the upside? Absolutely. But just based on the Gon fans alone, I'm just kind of in the boat that we will find support here and move on. That guy, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. I thought you had your stop loss around 7,640, so you didn't get stopped out. I got stopped out. I already said that at the beginning of the stream, but I'm not afraid to re-enter if it does come back above that previous support line that got broken. Otherwise, I'm missing out on a good position because I'm letting my emotions control whether or not I do re-enter into a good position. Did you share a pic of your setup? I don't know if I put it on my computer or not. I took a picture of it on my phone and oh, here it is. So that's my setup. Probably not as ballin' as you think it would be, but hey, I'm not trying to impress anybody. And I got my little Bitcoin bat symbol in the background. That's pretty cool. It changes colors. My friend got me that for Christmas. And this is the PC that's powering it all. I know it's not the best picture, but it did have two 2080 Ti's in it. But when I was playing video games, I realized that it didn't really make a big difference and sometimes made it perform worse. So I just refunded it. You know, it's $1,300 back in my pocket for something that wasn't getting utilized. So yeah, I'm blessed to have it. Do you prefer Kite or Austin? Doesn't really matter to me. Kite sounds cooler. It's what my teachers would call me. You know, Kite, get over here, stop acting up, or some stupid stuff like that. My friends all call me Kite, so it's whatever you prefer, whatever comes off the tongue easier. Kite's just one syllable. Augustin, thank you, man. I appreciate it. You have a great night as well. Chain Wax, thanks, man. I appreciate it. I love my life. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. You have a good night too. Um, thank you for siding. I appreciate it. AK, thank you, man. This would not be a great stream if you guys were not here. If it was just me talking to myself, it would be a little bit weird. Won't lie. I appreciate it, guys. Chunks, see you in the next one too, buddy. Tomorrow, I don't know if I'll be able to make the 2 p.m. live stream. I know I didn't yesterday. Tomorrow I gotta go pick up my car from the shop around 2, so I won't be home for probably like an hour after getting all that settled. I might hop on live stream later in the night, if anything major happens. If not, it's probably just gonna be another day off. But we'll be back on Friday. That by that time, I'm sure something major will happen. But I appreciate it, guys. Crypto Party Full, thank you, man. I appreciate it. You have a great night. Gene M, Gene M, Gene M. Sorry, I appreciate it. Miss Potato, no problem, man. I appreciate you. You need to stream tomorrow. We got Corona in my area, so we need stuff to watch. I don't think Corona is as bad as people are saying, man. I really don't think so. I know there's a lot of scare tactics, but I really don't think it's a big deal. If you look at the statistics of it, it's just not really. There's more people that get the flu in the United States every single year that have gotten coronavirus and that have died from coronavirus. I think the mortality rate is like 1%. You know what it has been good for? Sales. Hand sanitizer's been sold out. Toilet paper's been sold out. Food's been off of shelves. If you don't think that this stuff is like at least perpetuated to cause that type of stuff to fly off the shelves and make people money, I don't know. You gotta start looking at stuff a little bit deeper. I'm not saying go complete conspiracy theory. I'm just saying pay attention that this stuff is orchestrated. It's not just out of nowhere. Invested in toilet paper companies. All right, guys. Enough of talking about the coronavirus. I appreciate it. I might see you guys tomorrow, but if not, I will see you guys on Friday. Love my time with you guys as always, and I'll see you later. Fishy, what? What? Why are you crying? All right, guys, I'm gonna go take him outside. I appreciate it. I'll see you on Friday or tomorrow. Like I said. All right, guys. Stream ending.